The Tat language or Tat, Tati Persian or Tati is a southwestern Iranian language and a variety of Persian spoken by the Tats in Azerbaijan and Russia. Its written form is related to Middle Persian Pahlavi. There is also an Iranian language called Judeo-Tat spoken by Jews of Caucasus that is related to Tat. General information. The Tats are an indigenous Iranian people in the Caucasus. Tat is endangered, classified as severely endangered by UNESCO's Atlas of the World's Languages in Danger. Most scholars divide Tat into two general varieties, Jewish and Muslim, with religious differences correlating with linguistics differences. Another, almost extinct variety of Tat is spoken by Christians of Armenian origin, who are called Armeno-Tats. Dialects. There are many dialects that share a number of the phonological and grammatical features of Tat, including the dialect of Kalashur and Oynarud, two villages of the Asanau district of Ahar, the dialect of Karingan, a village of eastern Dizmar in the Vazirkan district of Ahar sub-province, and the dialect of Galinkaya, a village of the Hartsand rural area in the district of Zomnaz. There also exist dialects spoken in the Adri-speaking villages of Azerbaijan. Vladimir Minorsky mentions in the first edition of Encyclopedia of Islam that, like most Persian dialects, Tati is not very regular in its characteristics, and occupies a position between modern Persian and the Caspian dialects. According to him, the Great Russian Encyclopedia of 1901 gives the number of Tati speakers in 1901 as 135,000. In the 1930s, Minorsky estimated the number of Tati speakers to be 90,000 and the decrease to be the result of gradual Turkicization. Variants are Ruskush, Datkush, Chu, Lahic, Balakani, Davichi, Kizil Kazma, Kwanak Kend, Absheran, Surakani, Northern Tats, Malim, Guba. Speakers. According to the 1989 Soviet census, 30,000 Tats lived in the Soviet Union, of which 10,000 were in Azerbaijan. Not all likely speak Tati, and this does not include the more rural locations that were not reached by the census. It is vital to stress that the Tats are one of the most assimilated of Azerbaijan's ethnic groups. This is particularly true for urban Tats. All of this makes it difficult to identify the true number of the Tat ethnic group. The adults in most of the mountain and foothill communities reported they use Tat as their main language of interaction. They speak Tat with each other, but speak Azerbaijani with their children so that they will learn the language before beginning school. If the wife in the family is non-Tat speaking, however, the family is most likely to use Azerbaijani in the home. In the villages of Lahic and Zyv, women who marry in are reported to learn Tat. Ethnic population. Research has demonstrated that the word Tat does not have an ethnic origin. This is the term the Turks use to denote the settled Iranian-speaking population of Azerbaijan. This is proven by the names some groups of the Tat population have given themselves. For example, the residents of the Absheron settlements of Balakani and Surakani call themselves Pars, and those of the settlement of Lahic in the Ismaili district the Lohij. It must be mentioned that in the 19th century, cattle herders called the seasonal workers from southern Azerbaijan Tat, although they were ethnic Turks. Case study. MLHM. The town of MLHM is largely Tat. MLHM lies 6 kilometers north of Samaksi town on the A12 road. An estimated 1,500 residents live in MLHM, a number higher than 5 years ago. The increase in population is primarily due to an increase in birth rate. According to the mayor, while approximately 10 to 15% of residents go to Baku to study or work, most return. Ethnically, the village is made up entirely of Tats, with the exception of a handful of ethnic Azerbaijani brides. Writing system. Tat was not written until 1935. Efforts are being made at preservation. Since 1996, the Azerbaijani government has provided money for the development of minority languages, including Tat. Haseyev reports that Tat classes have been started in several schools in the Guba region using an alphabet based on the current Azerbaijani Latin alphabet. Linguistic migration. The prominence of the Tati language is directly related to migration. Additionally, most Tats in Azerbaijan live in the Absheron zone, as well as the following districts: Kayseri, Devichi and Guba. The Tat people have been dispersed in northeast Azerbaijan. By their origin, the Tats are direct descendants of the Iranian-speaking population that migrated back in the era of the Sassanids to the Caspian coastal regions of Azerbaijan. Most of the Tats in Azerbaijan live in the Absheron zone and the districts of Kayseri, Devichi, Guba and some others. Tats and Azerbaijanis. Coexistence between Tats and Azerbaijanis have combined much of the two cultures. Azerbaijani has largely overtaken Tati, which has also sparked a takeover in the ethnic consciousness of the Tats. The Tats and Azerbaijanis have gained much in common both industrially and culturally and in everyday life from their centuries of coexistence. Here a significant role has been played by the Azerbaijani language, which since the 19th century has been virtually the second native tongue for the Tats. The wide use of Azerbaijani, though, has imposed some constraints on the Tat language, which had become the general language in rural areas. Significant changes have taken place in the ethnic consciousness of the Tats. Many of them consider themselves to be Azerbaijani and have largely lost the Tat language. Linguistic policies in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has approached its linguistic policies in an interesting way. These policies include education in Tat, the development of a fundamentally new linguistic policy that reflected the country's ethnic minorities, again, which would have included the Tati people, is described by Latifa Mammadova as the following. In the early post-Soviet years, Azerbaijan's authorities faced the challenge of developing a fundamentally new concept of ethnic and linguistic policies, one that would be tactful toward the country's ethnic minorities and mindful of the sensitivities of each. They started by elaborating a law on the protection of rights and freedoms of the country's ethnic minorities in the area of culture. This document guaranteed fundamental rights for minority groups and individuals, including the right to receive education and publish press in their mother tongue.